Rory McIlroy is supposed to be inevitable. On paper, he is not just the defending champion at Augusta in 2026, he is the completed story. The man who spent over a decade chasing the one title that kept slipping through his fingers and finally caught it. The career Grand Slam is no longer a dream, it is a fact. And when a player like Rory removes the last missing piece, something shifts. He is no longer hunting greatness. He is standing on top of it. He arrived at Augusta this year different. Not louder, not sharper, just lighter. For years, this course followed him like a shadow. Every return came with the same questions, the same memories, the same weight. The collapse in 2011, the Sundays that unraveled, the pressure that built with every near miss. Augusta wasn't just a tournament for Rory McIlroy, it was a test he couldn't escape. Until now, because in 2026, for the first time in his career, that weight is gone. Reports describe him as unburdened, but that word doesn't fully capture what's happening. This isn't relief, it's freedom. The swing looks effortless. The decisions come faster. There is no hesitation, no second guessing, no fear of what might go wrong. He is not trying to prove anything anymore. And that version of Rory McIlroy is the one the rest of the field fears the most. Because when pressure disappears, instinct takes over. And instinct is where greatness lives. This is the paradox of Augusta. The course that once exposed every weakness is now facing a player with nothing left to lose. Rory without pressure is more dangerous than Rory chasing it. He doesn't need this win. He doesn't need validation. And that is exactly what makes him feel untouchable. Because when a player of his caliber starts playing freely, the game begins to look unfair. But Augusta has never cared about momentum. It doesn't reward comfort, it punishes it. For 15 years, Rory McIlroy was the chaser. Every April, he walked into Augusta with the same mission: finish the story, complete the Grand Slam, silence the doubt. He was the one hunting history, the one trying to catch something that always seemed just out of reach. That chase defined him. It gave him purpose. It sharpened his focus. It turned pressure into fuel. But in 2026, that dynamic has flipped completely, because now Rory McIlroy is no longer chasing the Masters. The Masters is chasing him. This is the part no one talks about. Winning doesn't remove pressure. It transforms it. When you're chasing, failure is expected. There's freedom in that. You can take risks. You can recover. You can come back next year and try again. But when you've already won, when you've already proven everything, the equation changes. Now, every round is about preservation. Every mistake feels heavier. Every leaderboard shift feels more personal. Because you're no longer building something, you're trying not to lose it. And in 2026, the stakes are even higher. Back-to-back Masters victories are rare territory, historic territory, the kind of achievement that doesn't just define a season, but a legacy. Rory isn't just playing to win anymore. He's playing to cement something permanent, to prove that last year wasn't the end of the story, but the beginning of something greater. And that kind of expectation doesn't disappear. It evolves, quietly, relentlessly, because freedom at this level is never absolute. It comes with a hidden cost. The weight is gone, but the spotlight is brighter. The pressure feels lighter, but the consequences are bigger. Rory McIlroy may look relaxed, but every player in the field is now measuring themselves against him. He has become the standard, the target, the one everyone believes they have to beat to win this tournament. And being the target is a very different game. So the question isn't whether Rory can win again. The question is whether he can handle what comes after, becoming unstoppable. Because when the chase is over and the dream is complete, something else takes its place. Something quieter, something more dangerous. What happens when the hunger that drove you is gone? Every great story needs a disruption. And at Augusta in 2026, that disruption has a name: Scottie Scheffler. While Rory McIlroy arrives as the defending champion, free and unburdened, Scheffler arrives as something far more dangerous: the world number one, the most consistent player in golf, the betting favorite to win it all. He is not chasing a moment. He is controlling one, and that makes him the one variable Rory cannot predict. Because Scheffler doesn't play golf the way Rory does. Rory is momentum, emotion, explosion. When he gets hot, the course feels too small to contain him. But Scheffler is the opposite. He doesn't surge, he suffocates. Fairways, greens, putts, over and over again. There are no swings, no chaos, just pressure that builds quietly until it becomes impossible to escape. He doesn't need brilliance to win. He just needs you to make a mistake. And eventually, everyone does. That's what makes this so uncomfortable for Rory. Freedom thrives in chaos, but Scheffler removes chaos from the equation entirely. He turns Augusta into a math problem. One shot at a time, one decision at a time. No emotion, no panic, just execution. And while Rory is playing with nothing to prove, Scheffler is playing with something sharper. Focus. The kind that doesn't drift, the kind that doesn't forgive. And then there's the human layer that makes him even more dangerous. Just days before arriving at Augusta, Scheffler became a father again. In a sport where mental clarity is everything, that kind of life shift can either distract you or center you completely. And for Scheffler, it looks like the latter. He isn't just playing for trophies, he's playing with purpose. And purpose at this level is a weapon. Because you don't beat Scottie Scheffler with brilliance. You beat him by being perfect. This isn't just another Masters. It's the story, the one everything else revolves around. Rory McIlroy, the man who finally conquered Augusta, now returns to defend it. Scottie Scheffler, the world number one, arrives to take it back. Every headline, every prediction, every conversation points to the same collision. Not just who will win, but who controls the moment. Because when two forces like this meet at Augusta, it stops being a tournament and starts becoming something else entirely. Rory is chasing something different now. Not validation, not redemption. Legacy. Back-to-back Masters victories would place him in a different category of greatness, one reserved for players who didn't just win Augusta, but owned it. This is about proving that last year wasn't a breakthrough, it was a beginning. But chasing legacy is a different kind of pressure. It's quieter, heavier, because it asks one question: can you do it again when everyone expects you to? Scheffler's pursuit is simpler and somehow more dangerous. Control. For months, he has been the most reliable force in golf, the player who turns tournaments into slow, inevitable takeovers. Augusta represents something personal, a chance to remind the world that consistency beats momentum, that precision beats emotion, that he is still the standard every player is measured against. And unlike Rory, he doesn't need a story. He just needs execution. And then there's Augusta itself, because this course doesn't belong to either of them. It never has. It rewards patience. It punishes ego. It waits for the moment when confidence turns into assumption, and then it strikes. Rory thrives when he's chasing. Scheffler thrives when things are steady. But Augusta doesn't promise either. It creates uncertainty. And uncertainty changes everything, because this isn't just player versus player, it's identity versus identity. And at Augusta, one mistake doesn't cost you a shot, it costs you everything. Rory McIlroy doesn't need this win. That's what makes it so dangerous. He is already a legend. The Grand Slam is complete. The story is written. Everything he does at Augusta now exists beyond validation. It's no longer about proving he belongs, it's about defining how far he can go. Back-to-back Masters victories wouldn't just add to his legacy, it would elevate it into something permanent, something untouchable. But that's the illusion of this moment, because at Augusta, nothing is ever secure, because across the fairway stands a player who doesn't need a miracle to take it all away. Scottie Scheffler doesn't rely on magic, he doesn't chase moments, he waits for them. One missed fairway, one misread putt, one swing that drifts just slightly offline, that's all it takes. And when it happens, he doesn't hesitate. He closes, quietly, efficiently, completely, because while Rory is playing for legacy, Scheffler is playing for opportunity. And opportunity in golf is brutally unforgiving. That's the truth this sport hides better than any other. Golf is not won with dominance. It's lost in a moment. You can control a round for 71 holes and lose everything on the 72nd. You can build momentum for 4 days and watch it disappear with a single decision. Augusta amplifies that reality. The margins are thinner, the consequences are sharper, and the pressure doesn't explode. It lingers, waiting for the exact second you let your guard down. So this is what it comes down to. Not brilliance, not talent, not even experience, just a line. Invisible, shifting, and impossible to hold forever. On one side, Rory McIlroy becomes something more than a champion. On the other, he becomes a reminder of how fragile greatness really is, because at Augusta, the difference between history repeating and history slipping away is only one moment.